was the capital city of the Kingdom of Poland for nearly 600 years from the 11th century. At its zenith, from the 14th to the 16th century, the kingdom prospered as one of the centers of European industry, culture, and education. Revealing remnants of its prosperity, the old town of Krakow was listed as a World Heritage Site in 1978. At its city center, Cloth Hall was built in the 14th century. Located as a strategic spot of Central European transportation, Krakow flourished with trade. Fabrics were traded on a huge scale in this hall. Royal Wawel Castle is in the south of the town. Coronations for 41 kings were held here. As if in competition, the kings built extensions to the cathedral of the castle, applying various styles from the Gothic and Renaissance periods. The envoy's room is where the king's throne is located. Numerous human heads are carved in its ceiling. The heads are lined up as if to intimidate those who came here for an audience with the king. Also in the city center, one of the largest squares in Europe stretches out for 200 square meters. St. Mary's Basilica towers over the square. The trumpet played at its top memorializes a historical incident. In 1241, a sentry sounded a trumpet alarm to warn the city against an attack from the Mongol army of the Tartars, who were the most feared in Europe at that time. Yet the trumpet stopped abruptly because an enemy arrow had pierced the sentry's throat. In remembrance of the Tartars' attack and the brave trumpeter, the trumpet is always played but then abruptly cut short. Located in the center of Europe, Poland continuously suffered from the invasions of neighboring countries. When World War II started, Krakow was invaded by Nazi Germany. While most of Poland was destroyed, only Krakow escaped from bombs because the Allies avoided attacking cities with many historical buildings. The World Heritage Krakow is a miraculous old city. In June, the annual Laconic Festival is held. The festival was started when the people of Krakow celebrated their standoff against the Tartars' attack. These clothes imitate those worn by the Tartars. With numerous invasions, Poland has gone through a tempestuous history. In this country, there are many World Heritage Sites engraved with the hardships, pain, and suffering this country has endured over the years. A crystal chandelier sparkles exquisitely. It's actually made of crystal rock salt. This is the rock salt of the Wieliczka salt mine that was the source of prosperity of the Kingdom of Poland. Its mining was formally started in the 13th century, and the rock salt, called white gold, brought the kingdom immense wealth that amounted to 1/3 of its financial resources. Nearly 20 million years ago, this area of Wilicka was under the sea. Then the land rose with the movement of the Earth's crust, and only layers of salt were left as the seawater evaporated. Mining in the Wilicka salt mine was perpetuated for 700 years, reaching a depth of 300 meters. It's a World Heritage Site stretching deep underground. When digging the tunnels, miners supported the ceiling with timber. The mined salt was collected at this large hoisting machine and brought up to the surface by horses.
Oczywiście była urabiana, można powiedzieć, ręcznie, czyli te wszystkie szramowania, które tutaj będziemy mieli, te ślady, to są szramowania ręczne, praca kilowka.
Mining still continues to this day, and tunnels stretch for 300 kilometers in total. This is Stanislav Aniol. He is a third-generation miner. He works in this mine like his father and his grandfather before him. Working underground has always been risky. Miners sometimes drown in the leaking underground water. To pray for safety, miners made chapels in the mine with their hands. One of them is here, St. Kinga's Chapel, 101 meters below the surface. The altar and all the statues are made from rock salt. It's devoted to Saint Kinga of Wilicka, who is believed to be the finder of this salt mine. This is a sculpture of the Last Supper, also carved by miners. This is a crucifix which was carved by Aniol. The statue of Pope John Paul II, who was born in Poland, is also Aniol's work.
I tacy ludzie tutaj rzeźbili, którzy czuli piękno tej kopalni, wypływające z potrzeby serca.
The salt carvings made by the miners to carry their prayers for safety continue to sparkle underground as World Heritage properties. In northern Poland, another World Heritage property, Malbork Castle, displays its robust red brick structure. After the Tartars, the next group to threaten the kingdom was the Teutonic Order in the 13th century. It was a Catholic order, but also a military force. Based in this castle, they engaged in crusades for Christianity.
Ponieważ tak naprawdę zaczął tutaj nie starać się o Królestwo Niebieskie, ale zdecydowanie o Królestwo Ziemskie. Krzyżacy w bardzo krótkim czasie stali się najpotężniejszymi panami ziemskimi i być może najpotężniejszą organizacją polityczną w całej Europie.
The castle was also a monastery, where the knights were monks. This private room was for offering prayers. In fact, they were the advanced guards of Germany in their forays to the east. They occupied the lands of pagans and subjugated them there. Malbork Castle was the symbol of the order's power and authority. This was the residential building of the Grand Master. Called a palace, it's like a suite for a king. Under this flag, the order expanded their territories. While conquering the Baltic states, the order had daily banquets in this hall to obtain the support of royalty and aristocracy from all over Europe. The facilities to entertain important guests were constantly improved and embellished. Chambers were always warm because of this heating system. Inside these holes, heated stones were placed. This is the ground floor beneath the hall. To heat stones, the fire heating the stove was never extinguished. But the prosperity of the order didn't last very long. Their autocratic control provoked the antipathy of local lords and led them to a war against the Polish-Lithuanian allied kingdom, and they were severely defeated.
Paradoksem jest to, że ci, którzy myśleli, że tutaj będą mieszkać wiecznie, bardzo szybko w kategoriach historycznych utracili to miejsce. Czyli potęga człowieka niekoniecznie mieszka w grubych murach.
Pride goes before destruction. The Malbork Castle is the World Heritage Property that stands as an example of this proverb. Another World Heritage Site is in the Malopolska region in southern Poland, where for ages, people have honed their architectural skills on unique wooden structures. The wooden churches built from the 15th to the 17th centuries are still in use with love and care today. Each village has its own church, and 6 of them have been listed as World Heritage Properties. This one is in the village called Sekowa. It's covered with a large roof made of European larch. Traditional skills are applied to its shingles. The boards are interlocked with wedge cuts. These boards were all cut with an axe. The eaves of the church are called Saturday because those who came for Sunday morning Mass from remote places spent Saturday nights under the eaves. In a church with the fragrance and warmth of wood, people were comforted and felt at peace. The altar is kept as it was. However, this church was almost destroyed once. During World War II, the village became a battleground. Tearing off boards, soldiers built trenches and burned them for firewood. repairing the damage, the current building was restored. A new church of bricks was built in the village. However, people like to use this old one for important events such as communions and weddings.
No skarb to jest cały ten kościół, to jest nasza taka perełka, nasz skarb, bo to jest ten kościół cały, to jest skarbem naszym.
The church in Lipnica Murowana, surrounded by oak trees, is unchanged since it was built in the 15th century. It's a small, old church, but has been well cared for by the villagers. The interior is filled with murals. This one, drawn directly on a wooden wall, is from the 17th century. The dry climate and the ventilation of the wooden structure have kept it unchanged. This is the Last Supper. Disciples surround Jesus. Yet, if one looks closely, their feet are blurry. The lower part was damaged when the church was flooded. In 1997, the river flowing in front of the church flooded due to heavy rain. A resident captured the flood with his video camera. The church and the cemetery were both flooded. The water was so swift that the church was almost washed away. But villagers came out to save the church.
W trakcie powodzi trwała taka heroiczna walka mieszkańców Lipnicy, aby ratować kościółek. W trakcie powodzi mieszkańcy przywiązali kościół linami do drzewa, otoczyli go na zewnątrz linami i w ten sposób kościółek został uratowany przed zabraniem przez wodę.
Overcoming hardships, these World Heritage properties were saved by the villagers. The scars of the rope on the oak tree is proof of the strong bond between the villagers and their churches. This is the pastoral land of a small village in southern Poland called Kalwania Zebzydowska. It's a World Heritage Sanctuary that Polish Catholics strive to visit at least once in their lifetime. In this natural setting, 44 chapels and churches replicate sacred Christian stories. Pilgrims walk the approximately 6-kilometer sacred land experiencing the Passion of Christ. One of the pilgrimage spots is the Kidron Bridge that depicts a bridge Jesus crossed after he was arrested and taken away. But the pilgrims crossed the river instead of the bridge. They believed that Jesus was insulted and pushed off the bridge into the water. Pilgrims experienced the coldness of the water and the hardness of the rocks that stabbed their feet in the same way that they believed Jesus experienced it. This long, narrow building depicts where Jesus was tried. The chapel is called the Holy Steps. There are only steps inside. In each step, a sacred relic is buried that is believed to be of Jesus and his disciples brought from Jerusalem. Pilgrims go up the steps on their knees and kiss each relic while praying. At the top of the steps, there's a church called Pilate's Palace. It represents the place where, amidst the taunts of people, Jesus was whipped and sentenced to death. This church is called the First Fall. It is believed that Jesus fell 3 times, being unable to bear the weight of the cross he was carrying. This depicts where he fell the first time. This chapel is in the shape of a heart, which represents the heart of the Virgin Mary. Many swords stab the heart. A sword stabbing the heart of the Virgin Mary symbolizes her deep sorrow. The top of the hill represents Golgotha, where Jesus was crucified. Inside are paintings of the crucified Jesus. People say that in experiencing the sufferings of Christ as they go through the sanctuary, they find comfort.
No, mamy się uczyć, Rycu da nam przykład, właśnie sam powiedziałem, abyście wyczynić, co ja uczyniłem, więc ta miłość do Boga i do człowieka. I tego mamy się uczyć.
Boga w sercu i Matkę Boską Kalwaryjską, ona nas wszystkich pociesza. Cały świat, nie także nas, ale wszystkich ludzi i cały świat.
The people of Poland reconfirm their religious beliefs by experiencing the Passion of Christ. They've also sincerely faced hardships in their country with its history of destruction and resurrection, which are exemplified in their World Heritage properties. Their gratitude for the existence of their country after so much suffering and pride in their current development are the source of the country's great power, which will surely be passed on to future generations.